guys, welcome back. I'm super glad to have you. Let me take a second to introduce myself because I really haven't done that in a while, and we have a lot of new people here. But my name is Ashley. I am a stay-at-home homeschooling mama to a lot of kids. My husband Stan and I have been married for 22 years. We have 4 biological children, and we have brought 2 precious little girls into our family through international adoption. One from the Philippines and one from China, and we are actually on our 3rd international adoption process. We are in the process to bring home a little girl from China. And I tell you all of that because most of the people that have come to this channel, they have come to see our adoption stories of Michaela and Isabel. So if adoption, all things family, all things homeschool, all things just an everyday, ordinary, average family is entertainment for you, then stick around. I'm glad to have you. So we are approaching a new school year, right? So next month, well, just in a couple weeks, most of the kids across the country are going to be returning to school. But as you know, what school looks like probably for the next year or so is just number one, completely up in the air. I hear that it changes day to day, and it's just a lot of unknowns, and those unknowns bring in a lot of fear, a lot of confusion on, do I send my children to school? Do I keep them home and homeschool? I don't know how to homeschool. What all does that entail? I thought I would take this time and answer some of your questions. I have been homeschooling for, I think, 15 years. Our oldest son, Addison, graduated last year. And so there is still lots for me to learn, and I will tell you, I'm a pretty basic homeschooling mom. You won't come to this channel and you won't hear me speak about homeschooling and giving you these grand ideas and these grand visions of what it can look like. I'm pretty basic. I'm pretty basic in pretty much everything that I do. I keep it pretty simple. So I'm hoping that my simplistic ways and my simplistic thought methods to this will help ease your mind and help give you some insight, help give you some knowledge in making that decision on whether to homeschool your children or to send them to school. So we are just going to dive into these questions. I literally have a few pages of questions, concerns, fears that people have shared with me on social media. So I just thought I'm going to go through them. I'm going to just be very quick, try to be very quick with my answers. We know sometimes I get long-winded, but I want to keep this video under 20 minutes. So let's go. So let's see. The first one, and this is one that I hear quite a bit. I am not a teacher. Like, I didn't go to college to be a teacher, and I don't have the patience to school my children. Let me preface this by saying that most homeschooling parents don't feel that they have an exorbitant amount of patience, nor do they feel like they are the smartest people on the earth. In fact, most homeschooling mamas that I know did not go and get a degree to be a school educator. So you have been equipped, you have been skilled. God has given you gifts and He's given you tools to raise your children up, right? You are teaching your children every single day. You're teaching them to wave bye-bye. You're teaching them to eat. You're teaching them to crawl, to walk. You're teaching them manners. You're teaching them how to add what's 1 + 1, what's 2 + 2. You are already a fabulous teacher to your kids. Homeschooling is just going to give it a little bit more structure, right? So you are fully capable of teaching your kids because you're already doing it. So let's talk about the second part of that, which is I don't have the patience to teach my kids. I think you would be pretty shocked if you came inside my 4 walls of my home. I lose my cool on the daily. I mean, I'm just going to be real and honest. Choosing to homeschool your kids doesn't mean that you're a saint, doesn't mean that you have superpowers, and it doesn't mean that you have the patience. It doesn't mean that you have more patience than the next person next to you. It just means that you've made a decision to homeschool your kids, and you are going to face challenges. They are going to get on your nerves. You're going to get on their nerves. I think that's very important to remember, that this goes both ways. Homeschooling your kids and teaching your children is a two-way street. So I cannot grant you your wish to have more patience, but what I can tell you is that is something that you can work through. Let me tell you this. I will tell you this. We as parents homeschooling mamas, you have got to give yourself grace. You have got to understand that you do not need to have all the answers right off the bat. And give yourself grace and give your kids grace. Because if you've never homeschooled and you're being thrown into this with you kind of feel like you have no other option, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be something you have to work through, and this is not something that you need to have all the answers right off the bat. So give yourself grace. Patience will come. You will have to work on it. A lot of people are asking, what curriculum do I use? At the end of the day, you honestly just have to dive into it, and you're going to have to figure out what works for you and what works for your kiddo, because as you know, all these kids, they have different learning styles. In fact, I just learned this tidbit of information from someone who shared it on my Facebook page, Kathy Duffy. I'm going to put a link below. Kathy Duffy apparently is this homeschooling expert. She has a quiz that you can take on what kind of teacher you are and what kind of student do you have. So I'm just going to leave the link below because it looked really interesting, and I do feel like if you could first tackle what kind of teacher you are and what kind of student you have, you are better able to navigate through the homeschooling journey. Because you're understanding how your child learns and how he learns best. Highly recommend you checking it out. I'm going to check it out myself. Like I said, I just learned about it a couple hours ago. So I thought that was really great information though. So when I first started homeschooling, I went to Abeka.com. Abeka is a very credible, faith-based curriculum. A lot of the private schools around our area use that curriculum. So I literally went to Abeka.com and I just typed in kindergarten, and I ordered the big box of the kindergarten curriculum. It was probably $100 or $200. They shipped me everything that I need for that entire school year. That included the teacher's books that told me every day what I needed to be doing, the student textbooks, the student workbooks, all the manipulatives, like everything that you're going to need is in that one box. So they really take the guesswork out for you. So I highly recommend that. Okay, so maybe you kind of decided, I need to go look at these curriculums. I need to figure out where am I going on the, where am I supposed to go buy these curriculums? I get on christianbooksdistributing.com. I'm going to leave all the links down below in the description box of everything that I speak about today, and that way you can kind of go click on those and check them out. But I go to that one website, and if you go click on the Homeschool tab, it has tons of curriculums. Abeka, Horizons, teaching textbooks. It has bukus all the way from pre-K 3 up to seniors in college and beyond. So I literally get on there, and if I'm looking for a spelling curriculum and I really don't know what I want, just type in spelling 3rd grade and go and look at all of the curriculums, all of the workbooks that they have to offer. You can click on the picture and it's going to give you 5 or 6 sample pages of what it looks like in that workbook, and it's going to give you a description and kind of tell you what you're going to be doing and what the child is expected to do, and is this a curriculum that's going to take 15 minutes a day or an hour a day. So that is what I do, is I literally every July or August before we start school kind of take an inventory of what I have and what I need, and if I'm looking for something different, I will just get literally on that one website and order everything that I need, and it ships within a week or two and I'm good to go. This is a really great question and concern that you hear all the time. The question is, are children who are homeschooled at a disadvantage socially? So being socially awkward is really up to you and how you parent your kid. You have to remember that school is not the only way for these kids to be socialized. They have church. With homeschooling, you have homeschooling co-ops that are amazing, and they offer lots of opportunities for your kids. You still have all the athletic activities to involve your kids in for them to be socially skilled and for them to learn how to be a team player and all of those things. There's neighborhood kids. So like, sure, they could grow up to be socially awkward if you allow that. But if you are intentional on getting your children out and about and just in everyday normal life, going to the grocery store, getting them to speak to the cashier, holding the door open for people and getting them to speak to complete strangers, shaking people's hands, things like that. Those are things that you're already doing and you're already teaching your kids. So it is completely up to you as the parent. But your children are not at a disadvantage socially because they are homeschooled. Another question is, how many hours a day do I have to homeschool? People are blown away by this. For us, we like to get up and get it done by lunch, because what I have learned is I don't want to do school at night. I do not want to do school at night. And so I know that if we don't get it done by lunchtime, 1 or 2 o'clock, it's not getting done. And I have to be real with myself. I can't say, hey, Ashley, kiddos, we're going to do that tonight, because in reality, it's just not going to get done because I don't want to do school at night. But I know many families who are slow movers in the morning, or maybe the parents have to work in the morning time, and so at nighttime, they choose to do school at night. You find whatever works for you. So as you all know, in a public or private school, the kids go to school about 7 hours a day, right? Monday through Friday. About 20 to 25 kids in each class. That's the average, or at least is around here. So I want you to stop and think, one teacher for 20 to 25 students teaching the same concept, let's say a math concept. Well, that teacher can only do so much because she has so many kiddos that she has to think about, that she can't just jump ahead because Billy Bob understands the math concept and he's ready to let's keep going. Let's go on to tomorrow's lesson. Let's just keep going because I've mastered it. You've got little Joe back here who does not understand it. Well, that teacher has to slow down and help all of the kids, all 20 to 25 students, understand this math concept before she can move ahead, which is totally fine. You come to homeschooling, it's one-on-one. It's one teacher and one kid, or maybe one teacher and a few kids, however many children you have. So the ratio is much different, which means you have so much more focus on each child. So if you have a kiddo who is understanding this math concept really well, you don't have to slow down that day and wait for the rest to catch up. You can say, okay, let's move on to tomorrow's lesson. Oh my goodness, you just did 2 lessons in one day, because that concept was super easy for them. Or vice versa, you have a kiddo who's just struggling with this concept. Well, a teacher at school is going to have to keep moving ahead because of these lesson plans, and they have to stay very strict with what they're doing and their schedule. At homeschooling, at home, you are able to slow down and really help your kid master that concept. If you need to take several days on a concept, it is totally fine, because you are wanting to allow your kids enough time to process and to really absorb what they're learning and not just learn it for a split minute, right? So the dynamics are completely different with traditional schooling and homeschooling. Homeschooling, you have a lot more control over how fast you want to move or if you need to slow down. And please know and hear me, slowing down does not mean that you are failing as a homeschooling mother or that your kiddos are being dumbed down. Another great question that people ask is, how do I know at the end of the year if my kid is where they should be? Well, like I told you a while ago, you order the big box of the kindergarten Abeka curriculum that has everything in it that you need. If you're pretty much getting that done week to week, your kid's going to be where they need to be at the end of the school year. Also, we live in Louisiana, and obviously I know that in many different states, homeschooling rules and regulations are completely different than what they are in Louisiana. But here, at the end of the year, these schools offer standardized testing, SATs, ACTs, all of those things. Where our schools here will allow homeschoolers to come in and take the standardized test with them. It is not a requirement to be a homeschooler. You do not have to take these standardized tests every year by any means. But if you as a parent want to see where your kid is at, you absolutely have that option here in Louisiana, and you probably have it there wherever you live as well. You'd have to check into that. But even if your child is a terrible test taker, and that is something that they really struggle with, or being in that setting is just really difficult for them, you also can get online and order standardized tests, and you can give your kid the standardized test at home. Another great question and concern is, how do you homeschool multiple kids on multiple levels? So let's just say we have son A and son B. Okay, one is on the 2nd grade level, one is on the 7th grade level. Obviously, they're not learning the same things. So what I have learned is, I know that son A is very self-taught, and I can pretty much give him his lesson. He can do the lesson while I'm working with son B, because what I know is son B is very hands-on, and I need to be right there with him every step of the way. So son A, son B, they're doing a math lesson. Well, I know before we even start the school day that both of those math lessons are going to be difficult. And I know that the self-taught one and the one that is very hands-on, they're both going to need my attention. I can't teach 2 different math concepts to 2 different kids at the same time, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, son A, why don't you go do your history lesson and your English lesson on your own? Because I know that they can handle that. And I'm going to take that time and work with son B. And I'm going to teach him his new math lesson, and I'm going to work with him until I'm done. Then I can go back and help son A with whatever he needs. So you really are just going to have to find your rhythm and find what works for your kids, and you're not going to have it all figured out in the first week or the first month. You're going to have some days where it works beautifully and everything's just jiving and just going well, and then you're going to have days where you just like want to pull your hair out. No one can get focused. He's asking me this, he's asking me that, the husband's asking me this, the dog is barking. It can get chaotic, and that's okay. It's just part of life. It's just part of life. Another great question is, how much does it cost to homeschool? It's actually a lot cheaper than a lot of people think. It really can be whatever you want it to be. As you know, you can get on the internet, you can type out all the free printables that you want, all the free lesson plans, and you can essentially spend little to nothing. Or if you have an older child, or you want to do like a Becca online program, that's going to cost $700-800. It's a little bit more pricey, right? But you got to figure out what is going to benefit your child, what is going to work with your schedule, all of those things. What kind of homeschooling mother are you? Are you one who likes to piece things together and like I said while I go, let's get on the internet and let's print out all these fun activities and like piecing all these things together? Or are you a homeschooling mother who like, I just need the big box and I need you to tell me what to do. Take all the guesswork out of it, because that's me. I'm not a super crafty homeschooling mama, and that's okay. I've learned to accept it, and it's okay. So it really can be as little or as much as you want it to be. So you can buy, just to give you an idea, you can buy spelling curriculums that are $10, or you can buy spelling curriculums that are $110. So it's really just all in what you want to choose. Someone made mention, my kids hated homeschooling when I tried it. They pitched fits, they had temper tantrums. What do I do? Well, I feel like I understand that. We all have those days. We all have those days. Even the best, most patient homeschooling mother with the best, most wonderful kids who are so super smart and who are just very obedient, they still have those days. They still have those difficult days. And what I say is just know that those days are going to happen, and you just have to work through them. There's no magic quick fix for it. But you also have to know that if your kids are pitching temper tantrums and they are not obeying mom when they ask to do your spelling worksheet, please, that comes down to parenting. That comes down to we need to sit down and we need to talk with the kid, and we need to acknowledge that mama is still mama, whether we're homeschooling or not. When mom asks you to do something, you are to do it, whether I'm asking you to go take the trash out or I'm asking you to take your spelling test. So I feel like that comes down to parenting, and that is just something you're just going to have to navigate through. I think also going into homeschooling, especially if they've been in traditional school and you've decided to all of a sudden take them out and start homeschooling after they've been in school, traditional school for 5 years. There needs to be a conversation in what you expect for them and what they expect from you. And maybe letting them know what the schedule is going to look like. I know that if they can be prepared and kind of know what this whole new season of life is going to look like, they are going to cooperate more. They are going to say, oh, let me do, an hour and a half of school, and then I get to go take a break, and I get to go outside and jump on the trampoline for a few minutes. Or, hey, kiddos, if we buckle down and we get all this school work done in 2 hours, we are free the rest of the day. You can do whatever you want. So I think definitely having conversations, letting the kids know what to expect from you and what you are expecting from your kiddos. This was a really great question too. Can your children be involved with extracurricular activities or sports at the local public schools if they are homeschooled? In Louisiana, the regulations used to state that homeschoolers could go and participate in the local public schools extracurricular activities such as football, baseball, wrestling, whatever it may be. That has since changed, which is frustrating, but I think that you will have to look and do some research within your own state to see what their regulations are. Again, we have an awesome homeschool co-op here, a very great homeschool association that offers a lot of activities. They offer sports, soccer, they have baseball, they have a really good volleyball team, they do speech debates. So you're just going to have to do some research and see what's available within your community, what your state's rules and regulations are. I hope that I shared some decent insight for all of you. I hope that maybe I think my goal was mainly to kind of calm your nerves, maybe cancel out some of the fears that you have of the unknowns. Again, like I said, I'm a pretty simple, basic homeschooling mother. I don't have just like lots of knowledge in all the different curriculums. I just know what's worked for us, and I know that for a lot of you, you just kind of need to work through the unknowns. And so I'm hoping that I shed some light on that and maybe gave you some more confidence as a mother, as a parent, as a homeschooling mother, knowing that you can do this. You can do this. Thank y'all for joining. I'm so excited to have y'all here. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do that now. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.